Hello and welcome to the oddest little podcast on the internet. We are the Odd Pod. What is going on? It's been way too long, man. I'm Stacy Kruger. Who are you boys?
I am casually challenged. I have opinions. They are my opinions. You don't have to have the same opinions. Just putting it out there.
I am Red Hazard, and I'm the quiet one.
I'm Robbie, and I feel like the last 3 weeks have been a complete blank for me.
Complete blank? Really?
Well, like after the last podcast we did, I completely blacked out, and I woke up here.
Just like, oh, I guess it's time for another podcast, guys. And Ryan's not here today because he couldn't make it. We're not going to make that joke. Everybody stop right now. We're not going to go, hey, guys, Ryan's not here. Oh, God. No?
Ryan's not here. Too many people to do.
Wah, wah, wah. So, how have you guys been the last 3 weeks? How's everything been going for you? Good, I hope?
So.
Nothing exciting at all to talk about? In 3 fucking weeks, not a single going, oh, I did this?
Go on, Rad.
I had a nice 3-week vacation on Sundays.
If I had to pick anything that was exciting, is that during one day at work, it was raining really, really hard, and our roof exploded and started pouring water out of it. So I had to close the shop and spend 4 hours mopping that shit up.
Good God, man.
Yeah, it was a small leak that we got fixed, and then it rained a lot, and the leak came back much, much, much worse. I think the part where we decided to close the shop was when the roof behind us, which we were behind at the toes, caved in, and I looked at the customer and said, and today was going so well.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put a shop in a building that's over 100 years old.
That's a thing. Well, mine was exciting over the last couple of weeks. Well, first off, anybody else got anything exciting to say before I go into my diatribe of crap that happened to me?
Not really. I continue my D&D game, and I got a new router.
Nice.
Big, exciting things.
Well, it depends. If it's a big penis router, then it could be exciting. Just a big dick router. Look at this thing. It goes. What is a big dick router? The kind that speeds up my connection 50-fold, which it doesn't. But that's what the box likes to tell you. So it's a big dick router.
Well, technically, it does speed up my connection back to where it should have been. Basically, my old router was dying, and I was getting less than I was getting K's instead of M's in my downloads.
Jesus, man.
So, but if I reset it, as the tech nerd would say, did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in? Then it would be fine for a couple weeks, and then it would just start slowing down. I don't know why technology does these things, but that's what was happening. So I got a new one.
Borderline programmed obsolescence, but that's just me.
Well, okay. I actually have a comment on that. There is an electrical charge and heat running through all of our technology. Mm-hmm. So just putting it out there, that is going to wear it out. Because guess what these things are made of? Plastic.
Oh, of course, yeah. But, I mean, there is a certain level of it, I'm sure, out there of going, you know what? If we make this break sooner, they'll have to buy more. I mean, look at iPhones. Yeah. That's all I'm saying, man.
I hear that's a common thing with the light bulb. The original light bulbs would still last 100 years or so.
Oh, there's still light bulbs to this day from that were originally created that are still running. There's a webcam out there. You can go check it out. I can't remember what it is.
But either way.
But yeah, so my exciting shit. I went and bought a kayak on Father's Day. Yeah.
Okay.
It was fucking awesome, dude. My entire life, ever since I was oh, shit. 12 years old, I've wanted a kayak. I was like, that was so cool.
Do you get many opportunities to use the kayak?
Yes. Well, I mean, luckily, the one wonderful thing about my area is we have nothing but woods, and I live like the theme of my state is land of 1,000 lakes and 10,000 lakes. So, we have a whole bunch of lakes to go paddling in, which is awesome. But it's also a fishing one, so if I want to go fishing out of it, I can, which is going to be happening very soon, actually. But yeah, it's freaking awesome, man. I had a blast in it. Then I was like, what would also be awesome? A canoe. So I went and fucking checked out Craigslist and found a canoe. I was like, this is awesome. So I looked at Ryan and his sister, my girlfriend, Clorox, and we were like, let's go try out the canoe. Let's go break it in. All right, cool. So we went out canoeing yesterday. Kayaking was great. I didn't tip it once. It was awesome. I did great.
Is this one of those situations where you go out into the lake and one of you doesn't come back?
Close. Very close. It was almost the canoe didn't come back. But yeah, kayak was great. Like, Clorox's sister tipped it, but that's no big deal. I didn't. That's what matters is me. I'm important. I'm joking, obviously. But, I didn't tip it, which is awesome. Clorox's sister jumped in, and first thing that happened, she's like, I'm going to climb it. Like, oh, great, now to dig this thing on the lake. Went and got in the canoe. Got out in the middle of the lake. And that's when we found out. I went to go stick the paddle into the lake in the middle of the lake and went, I'm hitting ground. The tide was so freaking low, we were touching the bottom of the lake. I went, shit, what's the point? Because it was a dammed up lake. So I was like, what's the point? Let's just try to get out of this muck. So we try to push it out. And I was like, oh, guys, look how funny it is. I could touch the ground with my foot. And I look, is that funny? I went to go step back in. And Clark's like, the boat's starting to tip, so I better overcorrect a little. And she managed to dip the entire canoe into the water. Which at first is not a big deal, right? Like, big whoop. We're in some shallow water, so we try to tip it out. We're like, we'll just walk it back to land. Because our common thought is, hey, we can just walk back to land. It's shallow. When it's a dam, keep on forgetting, when it's a dam, it gets deeper. The closer you get to the dam. So we're sitting there like walking, all of a sudden, like, yep, it's nut height. Okay, no starting to get titty height. It's starting to get deep. All of a sudden, fuck me, we're swimming. So it took us about 45 minutes to swim this fucking canoe back to land. Halfway there, I stopped and went, why the hell didn't we get back into the canoe and paddle? And that's when everyone gave me the dirty look because I was the one that tipped it. So, canoe fucking 1, Stacy -5 for style points. So, all right, Stacy tipped a canoe.
Wait.
Sounds like you were up a creek without a paddle.
Damn it.
Canoe or kayak? Because there is a difference.
Kayak I didn't tip. The kayak is, single person type of thing. Well, it can be 2 people, but generically it's single person. That one made it out just fine. Didn't tip it once. My sister, Clark's sister did, but I didn't. The canoe, I was an idiot and made fall over because I'm a schmuck. Just complete and utter schmuck. There's no excuse for it. I'm just an idiot. But yeah, so I turned straight up dad mode and bought a kayak and a canoe. I think I'm getting old, guys.
Well, that's what happens every day.
You know who else is getting old? Or at least it feels like it? E3. At least that's kind
of
the
business. We call that a transition.
Out of the park. There it goes, sailing over the bleachers. It's
Segway.
It just feels boring. It felt so boring this year. Like, okay, don't get me wrong. There was 1 or 2 where we're like, wow, that's kind of cool looking. But then there was ones where we kind of stopped. Like, what was the point? Like, I felt so lost this year. Like the Metal Gear Solid guy, his new game.
Death Stranding.
Yeah. That, like, I saw ads for it, like print ads or pop-up ads for it, which weren't so bad. They looked like, okay, I guess you could see how it's cool. And then I saw the E3 and I was like, I'm even more confused and just disinterested now because it made so little sense.
Was that one of the ones where Norman Reedus was just carrying a bunch of shit?
And then also a baby out of nowhere came out of his pack for some fucked up reason.
Well, I heard somebody talking about that particular game and how the baby thing is actually part of the whole game experience. But here's the problem that I had, and this will generally sum up how I feel about pretty much everything for this E3. I did not watch the big press conferences for EA or Nintendo, because EA is not PC friendly unless you have Origin, which I'm not willing to have Origin just for EA games.
Yeah.
And I don't have any consoles, so Nintendo doesn't make anything that's not for a console. So those conferences were like dead to me. But what I got out of generally all of E3 was no real information. What I mean by that is they would show a trailer, but for example, Bethesda showed a trailer for The Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh my god. That was
And
so
all
dumb.
it was a landscape for about 3 seconds, the title, The Elder Scrolls 6, and then the crowd went nuts cheering, and all I could think was, okay, that's like announcing that there's air in the air.
Right, dude?
We know.
And also, that's just to tide us over, because I don't know if they've even started working on it yet, but it's definitely... They say that it's not this generation, it's next generation, so it's definitely
right.
years out.
Right, so that was basically just to say, yep, we're making it. Well, of course you are. It's one of your cash cows. That was non-information.
Exactly.
Then you had the alternate side, which was Death Stranding, which showed like, I don't know, 15 minutes. It probably wasn't that long, but it felt like 15 minutes of a mixture of cinematic and potentially gameplay footage. I don't really know, because what they showed was really weird, and that's been the problem with Death Stranding since they first showed it off. All it is really weird and no real information. Like, what is this game? Don't give us buzzwords. Don't, tell us where does it fit in one of the genres or subgenres of gaming?
I feel like it's going to be one of those games where it comes out, people play it, and they still don't know what the hell it is.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. It feels like it. It does. It's just, it feels like a very stereotypical. What is that guy's name? Help me, please.
Kojima.
Kojima. I think it feels like a very stereotypical Kojima game. The what the fuck am I doing kind of game. That's kind of what I always experience have always been with his games.
But that's not what his games have been in the past. They've been okay. So I know you personally do not like Metal Gear, Stacy, and that's fine. But the Metal Gear games had a very clear gameplay. They were a stealth-based game that was basically about getting from one area to the next to defeat a big boss that was very anime. The stories were always extremely convoluted and, again, very anime. But this new game, it's been at E3, I think, 3 times now, maybe 4. And every time, there's nothing to show for it other than look at how well we've rendered Norman Reedus.
It's... I don't know, man. I saw a whole bunch of it. It just did not look interesting at all.
And that's the problem with all of E3. It was either zero information, like a title for a game, or it was all the info, but no real info. It was like 13 minutes of stuff on the screen, but no actual information. And yeah, Death Stranding. There was a game by the company that made Shadow of the Colossus and Ico that they showed off at an E3 like, I don't know, a million years ago. And then when it finally came out, it was kind of a mediocre game, and people played it for half a second, and then it just dropped off the map. I have a high suspicion that Death Stranding is going to be one of those games.
Which would be a shame with how much hype was built up about it.
Oh, remember Remember how much hype was built up for Spore back in the day?
Oh, well, here's the problem with Spore, though, is they purposely killed it. If they would have let him do what he wanted to, it would have been like one of the best games I've ever played. I remember seeing builds.
It's one of those things where EA got involved, as they do, and they said, you have to release this game now. Which, to be fair, had they let the creator just go on and do all the things he wanted to do, Spore would still not be released today.
Very true.
Like, it would have suffered from feature creep. And we're seeing that in games like Star Citizen, you know. I'm going to do all the things. And in Star Citizen, the only control over it is the guy that's making it, because he's got all the money. He's not beholden to any publishers, and he can do whatever he wants. And it's been, what, like 6-7 years or something? I don't know. It feels like forever.
Although, actually, if you think about it, Star Citizen has the best business model. You can sell a multi-$1,000 ship and not have to produce anything.
Yeah, that is also true. Now, I want to say right now, to be fair, they are making progress. Like, it's not like one of those early access games on Steam where it's clearly a cash grab. They are continuing to develop the game, but the problem is they want to do so much with the game that by the time it finally comes out, it's either going to be underwhelming, the graphics will no longer be up to snuff, or it just won't have all the features that they wanted it to, and either way, I don't see how that kind of game works out.
So in a way, kind of what happened to Duke Nukem, where they always wanted to do something new, or the graphics were never good enough, so they kept recreating it, restarting. Yeah,
that's kind of a good example.
Which is a shame, because, well, you guys know me, I'm a huge Duke Nukem fan, so I was just like, I want this game now! Oh, we have to wait longer, okay. Oh, is it ever gonna fucking come out? Came out, I thought it was great, everybody else thought it was terrible. But it was just, well, main reason Duke failed is because it was out of its time place. You know what I mean? It was not.
It was a game released in the 2000s that was a child of the 90s.
Yeah, that's about the best way to put it, too. And it's sad because it's such a good game, but people fucking hated it. You know?
Well, I don't know. But back to E3.
Yeah, sorry. I blame Robbie.
Thanks.
Go ahead. Well, okay, let's just get down to brass tacks. Was there anything you guys were actually excited over at E3?
There is, but I get what Casual was saying. It was just like trailers. There wasn't much gameplay. Mm-hmm. The thing that I was excited about was Cyberpunk 2077.
See, I'm trying to figure out why everybody was excited. I literally saw nothing. It was just a video.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Robbie.
Well, I think 'cause it's made by the same people that did The Witcher. So, and I fucking love
Witcher 3.
The Witcher 3. I fucking love The Witcher 3. So if it's anything like that game, then
guaranteed
I'm
to have
down
sex
for it.
in the game is what you're saying.
Well, guaranteed to have theoretically guaranteed to have a really great story, a huge open world, and be well made.
I mean, also, I didn't know this at first, but they actually teased it in The Witcher 3.
Did they?
Yeah, there's a section where Ciri explains that she went to multiple worlds, and there was one where the Wild Hunt couldn't find her, and Geralt asks her to describe it, and what she describes can be literally laid over the trailer for Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
like that's one of those games that, yeah, I'm interested, but again, they didn't really show anything. Now,
yeah. I
also, to be fair to this E3, I also only watched the conferences aside from EA and Nintendo. So I didn't watch any of the, rest of the coverage, which apparently they did do some gameplay coverage of Cyberpunk later, outside of the conference.
right there is why it failed to me. I didn't even know there was side coverage. I thought it was only the main. So to the person who they're trying to sell it to, you need to sell it to them up front, not just, well, we'll show it to you later. No, this is your time to show them. Sell it.
It's E3 is still not for the audience, it's for the press. So, all right, I want to break down the individual press conferences because I got opinions on those. Microsoft, please stop saying that you're playing the game when it's clearly an edited cut and you're not playing the game live. I don't know why they keep doing this. This is like at least the third conference in a row where they have said, now we're going to play this game live. And it's painfully obvious it's not live. You don't get flash cuts in a live playthrough of a game.
I would also like to add to that Microsoft's insistence on the word exclusive.
Right, dude?
Yeah. Everything was exclusive, except it's also coming to Windows 10 or whatever. So
or PlayStation.
Or PlayStation or not you can't do you have a dictionary? Would you like us to explain each of the words in the definition of exclusive? Anyway, let's see. What was the other one? Yeah, and over half the games that they showed were also not for the Xbox. Like, they weren't just Xbox. They were things that are coming out on all the systems. So I don't even understand that, but it's a thing. Bethesda, please actually show us some information. And for the one game that they did show us information, which was Fallout 76, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. Devolver Digital.
Won. They fucking won, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dude, how can you say it wasn't a win? That was so fucking awesome. It was memorable.
It would have been a win if I could have figured out where the joke ended and where their actual games began. I didn't know what they were promoting. The joke ran so... You could argue that maybe that's a part of it and everything, but I know they were promoting some things, and I have played Devolver Digital games before, but I could not figure out for the life of me in that 30 minutes where they were, which games were actually their games and which were just part of their running gag of we're making fun of all the conferences, which, by the way, making fun of the conferences, they definitely won because they basically hit on everything that all the other conferences did.
Well, like everything that they promoted is a real game or is for sale. Like the Bitcoin thing even is for sale on their website. I went and looked it up. I want to buy it just because I thought it was hilarious, but I don't have money.
Let's see. Square Enix, thank you for 30 minutes of ads for your games with no information. Ubisoft. Now, I personally think Ubisoft won in the sense of they got the point across. It was a professionally done show/informational thing, though just like everybody else, they didn't really give a lot of information out. They covered the Division 2 for those that give a crap. They covered Beyond Good and Evil 2, but it wasn't new to somebody like me that has been following the game. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I felt like theirs was the most professional. They didn't do all the things like trying to show people playing a game when they're not really playing a game. And they contained their press conference to the one place. Now, what I mean by that is Sony.
Why?
What in the hell was... So, for those that didn't watch the press conference, Sony started the press conference in, like, this tent-looking thing with, dangling lights in it that looked like it was a revival church type tent or something, and then they did a Last of Us trailer.
Which Last of Us
2
looked fucking awesome. It really did.
Sure. And the trailer showed why they were in that tent thing, because the trailer was in that tent thing, and it was like kind of neat. Yay! Then the trailer for The Last of Us 2 ended, and it did show a little bit of gameplay. Good for them. And then they cut away to do a commentary on the trailer we just saw, and you could see that they weren't fully prepared to talk for the next 20 minutes, because it took 20 minutes while they escorted all the press that were in that tent into another conference room, because all they used that tent for was the Last of Us 2 trailer.
It's fucking dumb.
What are you doing, Sony? So... then they showed a bunch of stuff that who cares for the most part. They even showed more The Last of Us 2, which if you're going to spend all that time doing the thing in the one location and moving to another, why don't you show all the stuff for The Last of Us 2 in that moment? But that was pretty much my take on all of the shows, conferences that I watched. Is they, and what I will say, I want to go back right quick to the Ubisoft conference and explain what I mean about them winning, in the sense that each time they showed a game, which again, the information was kind of just as useless as all the other conferences, they catered to the audience of the game. For example, they started with Just Dance 2019.
Which I thought was a furry con thing. I was really confused at first. I'm joking.
I could not care less about Just Dance because it's not my kind of game. But what they did for the game was have a bunch of people dancing.
Yeah.
And since it's not the kind of game where you need to know a whole lot of information, I felt like that fit, you know? And when they were done, then when they showed the next games, like they had an actual developer come out and talk about where they are with Beyond Good and Evil 2, because it's a very like pre-alpha, I think, game, and they wanted to promote it, but they're not really there yet, and they wanted to show progress. Then with Rainbow Six, because it's a big multiplayer and like tournament type game, they covered tournament stuff and what they're doing with the next season of Rainbow Six. Trials was a little weird, but
that was cringy as fuck, dude.
It's another Trials game, so okay, whatever. If you're into that.
It was
my point,
insanely cringy. That's the one thing I have to say. That was like badly cringy, dude.
But my point is that combined with the fact that they had Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Frodo.
Oh, the Frodo guy. Yeah, him.
Elijah Wood come out, and this is something that Ubisoft does well, is they actually put together, like, I don't think Ubisoft puts these conferences together themselves. I think they hire a third party that knows how to do a press conference, and that's why I think Ubisoft has been, quote, winning E3 the last, like, 3 or 4 years, because unlike the other conferences that don't have a clue what they're doing, they're hiring somebody else that does know. Though I will say the PC gaming, I don't know if you'd call it a conference, but I got to hand it to Day 9. I think he's a great host.
Dana. Oh, the PC gaming garbage? Oh, that was awful. PC gaming conference? That was the worst conference of them all.
Well, it's not a conference. It's kind of a talk show.
It was worse. It was the worst. I mean, it was Battle Royale overhaul. It was Snorefest to the max. It was ADD ridden, as if they couldn't figure out which way was up. I will say, though, that when tech issues came in, because, by the way, guys, when you go to do a big conference like this, Hire people who know what the fuck they're doing. Please. Because I've handled big conferences before working sound. Even I haven't had issues like that. Holy shit, PC gaming. But it was just, it was boring.
Again, it's not like the other conferences. But that being said, they made a joke about every game being a battle royale, and then they promoted like 6 battle royale games. You can't have your cake and eat it too, guys. You either make the joke and then don't promote a bunch of battle royale games, or you promote a bunch of battle royale games.
Right. I just, once again, I felt incredibly bored watching it. If they were trying to sell me games as a gamer, they failed. There's only 2 games on the entire thing that made me want to buy something. Was the shark game where you played as a shark, which I thought was hilarious.
Yes,
that was just like a
yes.
The problem was, though, it wasn't actually a good game where you were like, I'll play that for hours. It's a good gameplay. It's just a meme fest.
Well, okay. Here's what sold me on it, because there have been other games. In fact, I believe Devolver Digital has one of them. There have been some games where you play as a shark or whatever, but the way they describe this game, open world RPG where you are a shark.
Yeah.
That's what sold me, because it can be a crappy game, but I want to be a shark in an open world game. And RPG? I'm sure it's not going to be a very good game.
Oh, no.
But I don't care.
The only game that really sold me and got me super excited on PC, I was super, super excited, was the Twin Peak Hospital, or what the fuck it was called? 2-something Hospital? 2 Point Hospital. Holy shit. I was a huge Sim Hospital fan back in the day. Like, I was obsessed with it. Now, seeing that instantly made me go, holy shit, finally. The same people who made Sim Hospital came back, or Theme Hospital, the fuck it was called, came back and made a new one. Finally. This is something I've been waiting for forever and a day. I was so excited to see it. I
actually missed that one.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Because like you said, the PC gaming show was, as were most of the shows, kind of a snore fest. So I just kind of tuned out for half of the things.
Oh fuck! I saw that. I was like, this looks amazing. I can't wait to play it. And then I looked at the, pre-order garbage for it, which luckily isn't there. Thank Christ, because there's no need for pre-order anymore. But it looked good. It looked so good. The pre-sale imagery for it and stuff like that just looked good overall.
I will say my favorite moment of the conferences that I watched was in the Microsoft conference when they were making an announcement of new content for PUBG. If you don't know what PUBG is, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And the reason it was my favorite moment is because they did an audience reaction, which they love to do those, and literally there was zero reaction from the audience. Like, you could almost hear the crickets.
Yep, it was the big conference version of, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of...
Oh, we lost you there, Robbie. What's that, bud?
Oh, sorry. I was just about to say, it wasn't half of PUBG's
you're breaking up super, super
Fortnite
bad.
now.
Robbie, you're breaking up super bad, man.
Hello?
I
can hear you.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Better.
Go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, it hasn't half of PUBG's player base gone to Fortnite now?
Over. I would say easily over. But yes.
Yeah, that was part of the reason that nobody reacted, because it's okay, isn't that a dying game? You're and which is kind of hilariously sad, because all the people that are thinking Fortnite is going to be the game, when PUBG first started its super popularity trend and Microsoft announced that they were going to make it a console thing and all of this, all I could think was, have you been following Battle Royale games, Microsoft? Because this one's going to die just like all the other ones. And here we are.
Yeah.
And Fortnite will die too. in probably 6 months, Ninja will move on to whatever the next Battle Royale game is, and nobody will be playing Fortnite.
I don't know. It's maybe that was probably one of my biggest complaints was Battle Royale overload. Everything was Battle Royale at that PC, and I was like, fuck, man, just stop. We're getting tired of the Battle Royales. We get it. It makes you money. Fantastic. Make your money, man. Make your money. We get that. But Jesus Christ, give us a second to breathe before you shove some more Battle Royale shit down our throats.
Even the vaunted Battlefield series is getting in on it.
Of course. Grand Theft Auto 5 jumped in on the bandwagon with some Battle Royale modes in their online thing. Everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. And all I can say is, good for you. It's not like the genre is going to die. It's just that each new game adds some minor new thing that the previous game didn't have. And so far, there has not been the World of Warcraft or the League of Legends of the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once the reason World of Warcraft worked is not because it's the greatest MMO of all time. The reason World of Warcraft works is as soon as any potentially new feature hits the ears of whoever is watching on Blizzard's team, they immediately implement it into World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And by keeping World of Warcraft up to date with all those things, like, for instance, back in the day before the whole Battlegrounds thing was a thing, and I'm not talking about PUBG right now, I'm talking about in World of Warcraft, they had open world just PvP on some of their servers.
It was fucking nuts.
It was hilariously fun and ridiculous, and you'd have people, but it caused some slowdowns. People didn't like it because most people didn't have great connections back then, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And what people wanted was to have their PvP, but just in little self-contained areas. And some other game did that first, but at the exact same time, within like a few months or less, they released Battlegrounds. And everybody that was starting to go somewhere else immediately went back to WoW because, I know WoW and they have this same feature.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep doing that. Like, as each game introduces something, they just introduce that feature within a few months, and everybody that's about to leave WoW goes, I could play that game, but I'm going to go back to WoW.
That's exactly it. I think that's where it seems like all these places, like you pointed out, all these companies, are missing the point.
Right.
And it's
I'm waiting for one of the big guys, and I think it will be one of the big guys, like possibly EA, or more than likely Ubisoft, to create the game. Honestly, I take it back. I would not be shocked if Blizzard is working on the ultimate Battle Royale game, and they announce it at one of their BlizzCons in a year or two, and it becomes the Battle Royale game that everybody just plays. Look at what they did with Overwatch. They took the title from the king of that genre, which was Team Fortress 2. And all they're doing now with Overwatch is exactly what they did with World of Warcraft. Every time somebody in that genre comes out with something that is remotely interesting and clearly players are gravitating towards it, they just put it in Overwatch.
You know what? And it makes them money, so fucking good on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's... God, you are getting a lot of feedback today, Robbie. I say, do you have us on speaker, or?
No, not that I know.
Now you're breaking... Your internet just hates you today, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Jesus.
I need to get a new computer badly.
Yeah, so Shadow of the Tomb Raider, anyone?
No.
I mean, it looks...
Absolutely no.
Okay, I'll give it... It looked interesting, I guess, but it just looks like more of the same. That's it. Which is good, but...
There you go. And they did it at, I think, like 3 of the press conferences. They showed some footage they hadn't shown at the previous press conference, and all I could think was, okay.
How many games do you have to make like that before it's obvious that you just want to abuse your character? Like it's literally I think you said this before, Casual. It's like the games have gone from Lara Croft explores tombs to Lara Croft gets abused.
Yeah. It's let's see how much we can torture Lara Croft.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that either, unfortunately.
Which is not the game I want to play. I get that they basically ripped off the more linear storytelling and action set piece design of Uncharted for the Tomb Raider franchise, which works well for Uncharted and in theory works for Tomb Raider because they're making money off of it again. But the problem I had when I played the first 30 minutes of the new Tomb Raider was it was literally just torturing Lara Croft. Now she's injured in this way, and she remains injured until you fix her in a cutscene that's very scripted, and then she goes and she's injured in a new way, and now she's being abducted, and I wouldn't be shocked if Shadow of the Tomb Raider has a rape scene in it. It's like they're just pushing the boundaries to push the boundaries. I don't know.
I mean, because I remember growing up, that was one of the things about Tomb Raiders. It was about, look how strong a woman can be, which I think is kind of silly, but at the time it was needed. Because people still have that mindset of, women are weak. So, Tomb Raider was all about, look how strong Lara Croft is. She doesn't need any help. She stands on her own 2 feet. She kicks some serious ass. Now it's more like, look at her struggle. It's like, no, man. Let her kick some ass.
I think the idea is still, look at how strong she is. She can overcome this. But it comes across more like the video game equivalent of the Saw movies. To me.
I could see that.
I like myself a nice, strong woman.
I thought you liked a big, strong paperboy.
Let's see. What was... so From Software coming out with their new thing. Now...
I have opinions. A lot of them, actually.
What's your opinions?
From Software has always been the one that made other people chase them with their titles and stuff like that to go, hey, look, now we got the next big thing. Now, instead of it, it's like, oh, hey, look, they put out a ninja game. Let's do one, too, because it seemed to be successful. A samurai game, whatever. That's all it felt like to me. It's just like, well, okay, that was already done with Neo or whatever.
Well, okay. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are, including myself initially until I rewatched the trailer they showed, a lot of people are saying, you're just doing Japanese Dark Souls. First of all, I don't think that's what this is because, A, they said they were done doing that genre.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at their track record for games, when they say they're done doing a genre, they really mean it. Like, when they stopped doing Armored Core and moved on to Dark Souls, they did not look back at Armored Core, which is a shame because I love the Armored Core franchise. Before Armored Core, they had another franchise that I didn't follow. It was nothing like what Armored Core was. And did they ever go back to it? Nope.
Very true. It just felt like it. You know what I mean?
I agree. At initial look, it does look very Souls-ish, but I think it's probably like it's another case of not really giving us much information on the game. And to be fair, it's a fairly new franchise.
Yeah.
So they're still working on it. We don't know how much they have done. I would not doubt if this game is nothing like Dark Souls when it releases. And all the people that think it's another like Neo or whatever, or another Souls game set in a new universe that are going to buy it because of that, I would not doubt if they are very disappointed in what they get. Because just based on From Software's past track record, I think it will be more different than it looks like it isn't.
I can understand where you're coming from with that. I completely understand. It's just... there were so many times during E3 where I stopped and went, okay, can we get something new? And every single time something looked like it was new going to come, it just kind of looked, oh, wait, it was just a regurgitation of something before. So maybe I'm just gun shy. That's entirely possible. Maybe I'm just, it feels like I've just gotten kicked in the pants so many goddamn times. You know what I mean? I don't even, maybe I'm just expecting that reaction.
Case in point, Just Cause 4.
I've never played a Just Cause 4 game. I've never played a Just Cause game before, but everybody who's played it before said it looked a lot like the same.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing that I took away from Just Cause 4 announcements. They announced it in both Square Enix and I think at least a couple other conferences. At the Square Enix conference, I think it was, they actually had some information, but it just made me laugh because I have played Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3. And in both games, it's an open world game where you can blow stuff up and you can swing around with your grappling hook, and that's all fun. But it's one of those games that kind of loses interest after about 20 to 30 hours because it's all the same.
Okay.
Right. Now, I am one of those people that actually defends repetition in games for the most part, because if you like that gameplay, then don't you want more of it?
Yeah.
But Just Cause doesn't do the repetition right. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Because it's one of those games where when people say it's repetitive, I agree. It's fun for a while, and I will go back to it every once in a while just to blow some stuff up. But I don't spend 1,000 hours in the game.
Yeah.
Just Cause 4's information was that they are completely overhauling the vehicle mechanics. Now, allow me to explain why that's funny if you've never played the Just Cause franchise. Just Cause 2's vehicle mechanics felt like the vehicles were Hot Wheels cars rolling down a hill and bouncing all over the place. They were too light. They didn't stop very well. They didn't... it felt like gravity took a day off for the vehicle mechanics in Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3 was the exact opposite. All the vehicles felt like they were 1,000 tons overweight. They did not turn well at all. It felt like they overcorrected all the problems from Just Cause 2. So when they announced they're changing the vehicle mechanics, my first thought was, of course you are, because the vehicle mechanics have sucked in your previous two games. And my laughter was because what horrible mistake in the vehicle mechanics are you going to make this time?
I love that. It's not going, oh, I wonder how better it's going to be. No. What horrible mistake are you going to make this time? I actually had no idea, because I remember seeing gameplay of Just Cause 3 probably 6 months ago. I was like, what fucking game is it? That looks cool. And then I went and looked it up, like, oh, Just Cause. Okay, that's the game everybody was talking about. And I looked at it for a little bit and went, this looks like it's going to get boring fast.
Yeah, probably.
And this comes from the guy who loves World of Warcraft, Minecraft, and fucking, Fallout. I love repetitive shit, obviously. But there's still a point to get to where it gets a bit too much. You
know? Yeah. So okay, and this is where I say content is key. In Just Cause 2, the world map was amazing. It was kind of subdivided into areas, and basically you had snowy mountains here, you had jungle here, you had foresty stuff here, you had a desert there, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Just the problem was you had 4 things you could do. One of them was limited, one of them was technically unlimited, and the other... Basically, you could collect collectibles.
Okay.
Meh. I think that's a thing that all open-world games should have, because what else are you going to do at some point? Have a collectible to collect.
Yeah.
Whatever. You could do races in the vehicles with the horrible mechanics.
So basically walk away from that immediately.
You could blow stuff up, and that was technically limited because when you blew something up, it stayed blowed up. Like there were specific things, and let me tell you, the explosions were very satisfying. But again, after you've blown up like 400 of the same object in a different location, you start to go, well, that was fun. Okay.
Time to move on.
And you could kill people.
Yeah.
That was your 4 things you could do in that game. Oh, and there was a story that was so bad. It was so bad. That basically was the exact same thing you could do in Just Cause 3. Like, they didn't add any, and you might be wondering, well, what else would you do? Well, let's look at the Far Cry franchise. Each game, they have those things, but they also add things like, oh, you can fish, and you can hunt, and you can do other things I can't think of off the top of my head. But like...
I love it. Other things. I don't know.
There's a reason that people continue to play Grand Theft Auto Online, and there's a reason that people stopped playing Just Cause 3.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. When you bring up Far Cry, I don't know. It makes me think of replayability. Like, I guess it brings back the bad taste of 5 again. But that's just me being an asshole.
Well, that's you not liking the story. I didn't like the story either, but once I was done with the story, the game world is perfectly acceptable to explore, and fish and hunt and drive around and kill cultists and whatever else, but I don't know.
I don't understand what you're saying there. Anything else from E3 that was even remotely exciting to anybody, or anybody wants to talk about besides, Bethesda fans, please, put a bucket of water over your heads to calm yourselves down, because it's just Elder Scrolls 6. They just said a name.
I think the only thing that I really enjoyed from the Bethesda conference was the very special edition of Skyrim.
Oh, God.
Which is an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an Alexa.
I know, I just thought that was really funny.
I liked...
Go ahead, Red.
Okay, well, guess I'm driving the bus. Ghosts of Tsushima for PlayStation.
Yeah.
That game looked interesting, except I was still sad because I don't have a PS4.
Yeah, that's the thought I had, because I looked it up and it's owned. The developer is owned by Sony, so it's never going to come to PC.
Yeah, that's what most E3 was like. The games that I could get on like PCs, like not really interested. The one game that I was like, oh, that was pretty cool, I'd like to play that, is console only. So even then, I was still like, whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm a console pleb. I love my consoles. But at the same time, I still love my PC, so I'm kind of stuck there. But there's a reason why I own a PS4.
Well, can we just get to the future already, where everything's on PC?
Right, dude.
Right. That would be nice.
It'd be nice, but Microsoft will never let it happen.
And the one part of the Sony conference that everybody flipped their shit about, and I kind of went, well, that was expected. The Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh God, I hated that. Okay, this has been something I've been griping on since I think we started the podcast, and
quite a while.
And people disagree with me, and that's okay. But give me something new.
No, I totally agree with you. But it is Capcom, and they are famous for putting out 40 versions of a game before they move on to whatever is next. And even their next thing isn't really new.
What's their... I suppose, good point. Do they have anything else on the list besides Resident Evil Remastered? Or Resident Evil 2 Remastered?
Oh, sure. They have more... obviously, eventually we're going to get the PC release of Monster Hunter World, which would be nice, because I would love to play it. But...
bring that up, actually.
I
Go ahead.
can't think of anything other than another Resident Evil, another Street Fighter, or related that they're there's a reason Capcom doesn't do their own press conference, because when they do create a new IP, it's usually in Japan, and they test the waters there, and if it doesn't work there, then it never comes to America.
I see. I don't know, man. It's just... I remember seeing them put out the thing for Final Fantasy 15 with Monster Hunter. And
14.
14, I'm sorry, 14. And all I could stop and go, okay, so is it new? Is it old? What the hell is it?
It's... Okay, see, that's, again, more... As I think this E3 should be subtitled E3 2018 non-information. Basically, what you would have to figure out on your own is, or extrapolate, because they didn't really release any information about it, is that they're going to probably add costumes into Monster Hunter World from Final Fantasy, like classic, black mage, white mage, fighter type costumes. And in Final Fantasy, they're probably going to add a boss from Monster Hunter.
Yeah, also they're adding a Final Fantasy monster into Monster Hunter. It's the Behemoth, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, so that's all they're doing. It's a cross promotional thing for both games. I'm assuming that it's either already released or it will be released with the PC launch of Monster Hunter World. But again, for the most part, I think the general consensus on E3 is there's nothing that wowed me about anything. The closest to a game that I'm interested in, I'm not going to be able to play because I'm not buying a console.
No.
And then the Square Enix conference was just 30 minutes of commercials for games without any information at all.
I guess maybe I'm just stuck because I was so bored by it. The one I do want to get into, and the thing that I felt was a hell of a disappointment, was Fallout 76. And
I think we all have opinions on that one.
The main reason why I'm so disappointed by it is because not necessarily the gameplay even. I'm disappointed it's online, and I don't want that. I don't like being online. It's just my thing.
Well, you'll be able to play it solo.
But it's still online. And you have to deal with the griefers everywhere. It's like a griefer's fucking paradise, that game. Yeah, I mean,
That's what I mean. Like I said this before, but yeah, you can play it solo technically, but you really can't. It's one of those games where you kind of have to play it in a group, or if you play it solo, you're going to get wrecked by people who are playing it in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, but that's the thing they didn't even cover. Again, more non-information. So one of the things that I was like, oh, okay, was they finally had to come out about it because it was, quote, spoiled, as were a lot of things in the Bethesda conference. And they said that basically, as they described it, it sounded like a cross between what Grand Theft Auto Online has and what is currently Ark and Conan.
Yeah. And like I said, we were talking about this before the podcast, and I said before, the fact that they've taken the NPCs out, I feel like they've taken one of like the hearts from Fallout, because one of the things that's been consistent since Fallout 1 is the NPCs, the kind of weird and funny and hilarious interactions you can have with those NPCs.
Wait, the NPCs are gone?
No, yep, there's no NPCs at all.
What?
That's what they said. They said that NPCs, there will be no NPCs in the game. Now, when they said that, they're not talking about like monsters and raiders. Those are going to be there, but they're just going to be something to fight, right?
Yeah.
There's not going to be any characters with dialogue, basically.
Fuck
They said it's all going to be players.
And I guess I kind of get where they're trying to do with that with the story of it's like only like 20 years after the bombs have fallen. Nobody's really had the chance to create settlements yet, so that's what you're doing in this game. But even then, I just feel it doesn't have the same heart as the previous Fallout games, where you can go to like random points on the map, find like a single NPC, and get a quest from them that sends you all around the fucking map. Those little kind of touches and the NPC interactions like that, they take that out of the games. I just feel like they've taken the heart of Fallout from me.
I would say maybe this could be the greatest Fallout game ever to exist, but I'm just not personally excited for it. And here's the biggest problem I had, is the Fallout community. It's some very good friends of mine just turned against everybody who said they were not excited for it, instead of going, oh, really? Why is that? Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm excited for it. I can understand why you're not. And just kind of going, okay, whatever. Just to each their own kind of thing. Immediately went to Fallout fans are whiny, entitled bitches who
okay, I want to comment on, quote, Fallout fans. To be fair to Fallout fans around the world, this is nothing new. When Fallout 2 made some minor changes to some of the things, the people that liked Fallout 1 flipped their shit and were all, oh, this isn't the game I wanted. Fallout in video gaming is almost like Star Wars in movies. Each new product, no consensus can be made and is 100% divisive amongst the fans. Like, they can't all agree on anything, and they all think it's the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. Like, how about it was just good and there were some problems?
Yeah. I don't disagree at all. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be the worst game ever. It's just not going to be my kind of game. And that's okay. It's okay for me not to like it. I'm just not going to buy it.
I'd put it this way. It does not appear to be right now a game that you will want to play.
It's online. I have no interest
well,
in it.
Sometimes you can be surprised.
I would argue that you have played a couple of online games, Conan, that you have enjoyed.
Yeah, but
somewhat.
The difference is that you couldn't just shoot a nuke at my base that I spent hundreds of hours.
But we don't know if that's going to be a thing. They didn't give any real information.
Well, they said that they confirmed that's going to happen.
That is something that you can do in the game.
No, they said you will be able to have nukes, but what they haven't said is, will you be... Because, okay, Conan, you can set up the Conan servers, and I think you can do this in Ark too. I don't know. I haven't played enough of Ark, where you can essentially turn off PvP. And you can have servers, you can have a, quote, personal server where it's running the way you want it to.
I suppose.
So, because they haven't said how this game is going to play, like, the only way it works if you can play it solo is if you can do it like Grand Theft Auto Online or Conan, where you are creating a place that is safe for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's a thing, then it kind of also defeats its own purpose, because then what's the point of even playing it?
Could this possibly be them just piggybacking off of the open world thought process of Conan and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. Like, this is going to be their entry into I don't even know what you would call that genre. I guess survival game.
And because of I'm just saying and we know because of that it's not going to have a very long lifespan, because those games tend to not have that long. I mean, Ark was for a decent while, but even that's gone quite to the quite a bit. And I don't know how long Conan lasted for.
Conan, once its final release came, the core audience stuck around, but that was about it.
Yeah, and that's usually the case with all of these games, which is what kind of confuses me that they decided to go this genre, because similar to Battle Royale games, it's a genre that dies on release.
Yeah. That's about it. I mean, I feel it's the biggest problem I had was this. I mean, Bethesda, save single player themselves, released a multiplayer game that was strictly multiplayer with zero possibility for single player offline action. That was just where you kind of stop and go, that made no sense.
Here's the takeaway from this. I would not be shocked if Fallout 76, much like their attempt at an MMO with the Elder Scrolls, is not actually being developed by Bethesda.
Oh, and it's by ZeniMax or whatever?
Well, no, ZeniMax is just a parent company.
Yeah.
I don't remember who developed the MMO.
Oh, I thought it was the parent company, ZeniMax themselves, that kind of said, guess what, Bethesda, we're going to use your name and your property and just make this.
No, ZeniMax just collects money.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
Bethesda publishes, ZeniMax is the parent company that owns more than just Bethesda, and they just collect money. Now, whether or not somebody at ZeniMax came in and said, you're going to make an MMO because MMOs make money or not, I don't know. But the point is that Bethesda publishes and develops.
Mm-hmm.
But what they develop has been Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. Now, when they took over id, they also started developing Doom, Quake, all the id product, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't really hire a bunch of new people. They just took over id and said, yep, keep doing what you're doing because it works, and we're just going to make money off of this now. Now, the other thing I think people are missing is I don't think this is a part of the main Fallout franchise. I think this is a side project that is just to tide people over until Fallout 5.
Well, that's what they tried claiming. They tried to say it's just like New Vegas, but New Vegas was actual proper lore. It was part of the franchise proper.
Yeah, that's one of the things that worries me is if this is the next Fallout game, and are they still working on Fallout 5?
Oh,
or are they...
absolutely, they're still working. It's like the reason that they tried to tide people over with that quote announcement of the Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
It's just yes, we are working on another Elder Scrolls game. It's not all going to be Skyrim re-releases and content for an MMO that is this far away from free-to-play.
I thought it was fully free to play.
No, you have to buy the game. Yeah, you have to. It's like Guild Wars or one of those other ones. You buy the base game, and you also have to buy expansions if you want expansion content. But I don't know. I just think that I agree that the information we got about Fallout 76 does not make me excited. But I also don't think this is the, quote, next Fallout game. This is just a game with the Fallout name on it.
Yeah. I tell you a game that I will be keeping an eye on that we know literally nothing about is from Bethesda, that Starfield game, which is supposed to be like Skyrim in space or something.
Well, that's another thing I kind of maybe stop and go, why is everybody getting hyped over a name? That's all it was.
Yeah. Stacy and I are in agreement about this whole conference.
You know what? This is creepy, man.
It was another non-information title. Like,
yeah.
Everybody was like, "Yay!" What did they show?
Well, I mean, like, Robbie, do you know something about this beyond just the fact that it's just Skyrim in space, or is it
I know what the logo looks like.
So for those wondering what they did show, they showed a cinematic of a planet. And it zoomed out a little bit, and you saw, like, a space station or a satellite. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then there was a moon, and then there was the logo.
Yep. I think that's
okay.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm going to keep an eye on it now that I know it exists. But
I will say I am excited on the basis that this is the first new IP that Bethesda has created in, like, decades.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting, but again, we know nothing.
Like I said, Robbie, I'm not trying to trash your enthusiasm. Please don't get me wrong, okay?
No, I completely understand it. We literally know nothing about it, but it's just saying, and now that I know it's on my radar and it's by the same company that do two of my favorite games, I'm interested enough to keep an eye on it.
That totally makes sense. 1,000,000%. It's just, I guess I once again kind of get bit gun shy because of, the pre-order hype nonsense where you don't know anything about the game, but you're going to pre-order it anyway. And I've heard people saying, I'm going to pre-order 76 when they just announced what the hell was it? Just the...
Nobody is... I will say this. Nobody is pre-ordering Vault 76 for the game. They're pre-ordering Vault 76 for the helmet.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting just for the helmet, then I was trying to stop. Went, you know what? I just go on fucking eBay and buy it. Fuck it.
No, my luck.
It'll be really expensive on eBay if it's as limited as the other feet things they've had were.
Knowing my luck, if I got the helmet, it probably wouldn't fit my fat head.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pre-order, because I was like, well, I got the arm thing from Fallout 4, and that's cool. And I got the lunchbox from Fallout 3, and that was cool. But
I always wanted the lunchbox. I was so pissed I never got it.
Either the helmet will be way too big for anyone's head so that it can fit anyone's head, or it'll be too small and it won't fit my head. So it'd be pointless.
Yeah.
Plus, I gotta be honest, I don't like the original Power Armor helmet design. I like the one that they made for Fallout 3.
Yeah, the original Power Armor is not a huge fan of. I thought 3's Brotherhood of Steel Power Armor was far better.
Yeah, I like that, as they called it, industrial look to all of the technology.
I'd say 1,000,000% to me, too. I thought it fit the game so much better. It just looked nicer. Of course, also, Fallout 3 was my very first Fallout, so that might be part of the reason why I think that,
It was not my first Fallout, and I liked it better.
Okay.
I was like the Tesla armor helmet.
Oh, from the...
yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. From
Enclave.
Enclave, yep. That was pretty badass.
The Enclave armor in general is a little bit swoopier. That was introduced in Fallout 2.
I was about to say... Oh, go ahead.
The graphics in Fallout 2 were very, very different.
Drastically, to say the least. You could definitely see the beginnings of the newer Fallout in it, and the direction it was going to go, but it feels far different. Of course, it was a top-down game, so how the fuck could it not feel different, you know?
But I go back to my original point of that. Yes, Fallout has changed its gameplay and the way it looks over time, but one of the things that's remained the same is the NPC interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find all these little details out in the world of survivors and NPCs, and I feel like taking that out is taking one of the hearts of Fallout.
I completely...
And the general feel, even though Bethesda kind of watered it down a little when they took over so that they could be more mass market, the feel from the world that no one is a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there's always a couple that are clearly mustache twirling villains or white hat wearing good beacons of hope.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, everyone's kind of somewhere in the middle. Like, real people.
Amazing thought. You want them to look normal and real. Who knew?
And
real
that's
people are so boring.
That's actually kind of the disappointing idea, is because people on the internet, they are actually the least real they are from normal life. So if you're interacting with a bunch of crazy psychos online in an online-only game, you're not getting a good snapshot of reality. You're getting a snapshot of the internet.
Yeah.
Well,
the only thing you can really be sure about interacting with psychopaths on the internet is they're probably 12-year-olds.
No. God damn it. Well, unfortunately, as much as I want to keep going, I do have to end because I kind of need to go to my, I need to get the baby shower ready for my new kid. Apparently, remember I thought it was a good idea to breed? Well, now I have to go do the baby shower bullshit for it. Yay!
Remember not to get the golden shower and baby shower mixed up.
Apparently, I got it wrong. I was like, I looked at Clorox. I was getting ready to piss on her. She's like, what are you doing? When you said you wanted a baby shower. No! Oh, sorry. So then I was getting ready to shoot a load, and then she's like, not that kind of baby shower. I'm like, oh, you mean where you get presents? Okay, that sounds good. Silly me. Thank you very much for swinging in, guys. It was great to do a podcast finally for the first time in 3 fucking weeks. I'm Stacey Kruger. Oh, go ahead.
4.
Has it been 4? Fuck me, 4 weeks. Jesus.
This is the 4th week.
Good God almighty. That feels good either way. Thank you very much for swinging in. My name's Stacey Kruger. Who are you boys?
I'm Robbie, and I'll see you in another 4 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
I'm Red, and I have too many witty things to say, so I'm going to say nothing.
Sounds good. And once again, hey guys, Ryan was not here to resurrect that old dumbass joke. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It was great having you here. Thank you very much, T-Dub, for swinging in and supporting the podcast as always. To all
don't forget Casual.
Casual, didn't you? Didn't you say goodbye, Casual?
No, but it's a thing. Non-info from Casually Challenged.
God damn it. I thought you said goodbye. Shit, I'm sorry, dude. It says Stacy puts on his ass hat. Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. Yes, and Casually Challenge exists in this podcast. But once again, thank you very much for T-Dub, who swung in and actually listened to the podcast being recorded live today. Thank you to all my tier 2 and tier 3, if I could speak correctly, subs on Twitch at twitch.tv/Stacey Kruger, who helped make this podcast possible and have the privilege of submitting articles for the podcast and also listening live. We love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Be good. We'll catch you next time.